everybody, so we're filming another video for Wisdom and Whine. This is a YouTube series brought to you by all the teachers and educators here at Young Scholars Academy. My name is Miss Jordan. I'm the marketing director here.
I'm Miss Jen. I'm the center director.
I'm Miss Blair. I am a teacher in preschool A.
I'm Miss Michaela, the child success advocate, as well as a pre-K teacher.
So combined over all of the classrooms, we have over 200 years in just education experience alone. That does not count all the classroom experience that we have throughout the building. So today we're going to talk about breastfeeding versus formula, something that's been a hot topic for moms for years and years and years. So everybody here, besides myself, has had experience with breastfeeding. So we're going to go ahead and explore that topic, explore reasons why you should, why you shouldn't, what fits best for moms, the guilt that comes along with breastfeeding, and so everything.
And technically she has had experience with it, just not on the end.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we would like to focus on is that breast isn't always best. I'm very pro feed your baby. I understand that circumstance happens, life happens. Some people cannot nurse their children physically. I have seen my sister struggle with her children. She wanted to breastfeed and couldn't. Her kids were allergic to the lactose in the breast milk, and you cannot take that out. So, formula was their way to go. Also, I feel like it's okay to bottle feed your baby and pump. As long as your baby is eating, that is the most important piece.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that we focus and we guilt trip a lot into breast is best, you got to do the breast. I'm just recently returned to work from breastfeeding, and everybody was like, oh, he's so young, why are you and I have two different, one that would only take the breast and one that totally prefers a bottle. And my goal is just to make sure they're eating, that they're healthy, and that we're meeting their needs. I know a lot of times as moms we feel like we're failing when, you know, society puts such a big thing on breastfeed, 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 that I don't think society realizes how much guilt a woman does feel when maybe they can't breastfeed and it's just not working out, or, you know, babies don't latch, allergic reactions. That's nothing a mom can control, and we're shouting down breast is best when we really just want to feed.
I think just to kind of piggyback on that, okay, so first of all, society isn't raising your child or feeding your child. In my opinion, yes, I'm older, I'll say it again, we have way too many people having opinions about what other people are doing. Do your family, do what's good for you and your family, and sometimes it can be a combination of both or neither. Be close to your children and just make sure that they're eating. You know, again, I completely concur what you guys are saying here.
So, as a mother that has breastfed 2 children now, the benefits of breastfeeding is it is cheaper than formula. Formula is costly. $1,500?
Mm-hmm. In 6 months.
$1,500 in 6 months. Woo. And then skin-to-skin bonding is another huge benefit of breastfeeding, as well as those live antibodies that are given from the mom directly to the baby when breastfeeding. So those are the benefits of breastfeeding, but let's not leave out that formula also has great benefits as well.
Formula has definitely come a long way. Like,
Sure.
There's so many different kinds to fit the needs of so many different children, too.
Dad bonding can really happen when bottle fed. You know, you can't hand those off. Sometimes I wish you could, but you can't hand them off. So that's another cool benefit to bottle feeding, is that dad gets to bond with the child as well.
We all have plans. When you're pregnant, or even deciding to get pregnant, You remember, hey, we're going to try, and then a couple months later,
Yeah, the first month.
it's twins. What do we do? So we all have plans for how we're going to parent, what we're going to do, how we're going to feed our baby. And then sometimes, it doesn't work out. Sometimes it's for the better. That situation turned out pretty good. So I think one of the biggest things is to give yourself a break. Once again, in almost everything with parenting, you're to see that coming through when we're talking is give yourself a break, find your tribe, be able to talk to somebody. There's tons of information out there on breastfeeding and formula feeding, but try not to panic. It's a very different time right after you have your baby. New babies, some of them sleep, some of them don't sleep. You could be completely mentally exhausted
And
trying to breastfeed,
emotional.
and your emotions are all over the place. So the biggest thing I think is just to relax and know that
It'll be okay.
it'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
They're gonna make it through, and so are you.
She mentioned emotions. That's probably the biggest thing, as people are pressing for you to do this or that. Grandma comes in and is telling you, oh, this is why you need to do that. I think as moms, we push our emotions to the side because we've getting 300 opinions and
Don't do that.
what's told. And yeah, that's probably the biggest, don't. You know in your heart of hearts what's best for your child.
Absolutely.
You're going to always put your child there and have their back. That remember your emotions you're going through, especially if you're a first time mom. You have so many joys, but guilt can steal those joys, and know that it will kick in. That maternity instinct will kick in, and even if you're new at it, it will come. So I think that's a big one, that with all 300 devices, just throw it out the window and you'll know what's best.
Do your thing. Yeah.
Your best laid plans don't always follow through the way that you hope. I know that when I was pregnant, I was trying to prep for the after in nursing, and my sister told me, well, buy your nursing bras while you're pregnant. Well, she didn't tell me that when the milk finally does come in, no matter how big you get when you're pregnant, you get even bigger after. Nothing fit for months.
Which is always a lovely
honestly,
feeling
months.
right after the birth.
Right?
Yes.
Nothing's holding the girls there.
And then even after the birth, I was so prepared to nurse them, but their first meals were formula because I was in recovery from having a C-section and I couldn't nurse them. My son ended up in the NICU and didn't figure out how to latch until he was about a month and a half. So I bottle fed him even though I was pumping. I did supplement formula in there while I was trying to wait for the milk to come in. It just doesn't always happen the way you hope they do, but
it'll be okay.
yeah, it will be okay.
Don't give up.
Yeah,
Keep
don't.
going.
Especially if
Keep
you
trying.
do, and stick to your guns. If you want to formula feed. Don't let somebody come in there and tell you, well, this is why you need to be doing this, and, I did it this way. They're not you, and I really think the biggest thing is sticking to your guns. If if you really want to breastfeed and it's a hard go, that's okay. Keep at it. Just like anything in life, sometimes it's a little harder work than others. Finding the right bottle. Whew.
Oh my, that is the worst.
Finding the right type of nipple.
Right. Woo.
Yeah.
So
You have to buy everything in advance,
and
they
they're
don't
like,
want any of
no.
it.
And they don't want any of it. Yeah.
So I always just know that plans can change, but if you're really sold on something, stick to it. Don't let anybody come in there and tell you it's not right.
Either way.
We all seem to criticize and judge each other based off of what we've done or what we've seen done by other people, and you
It's
just
not them.
gotta be you.
Okay.
Right? We're like,
So this is going to be a fun subject. My kid is smarter because they were breastfed. Comments. First of all, somebody tell me what a smart kid is.
right?
Like define that. My kid is smarter. Smarter in what? you know, in what area? I mean, so my
That's
kid
it, right.
can kick the soccer ball, and your kid can play the piano. So
Mine can
who's
climb a
smarter?
fence.
I really, yeah, right? You know, some kids are more physical, some kids are more verbal.
Right.
That's just, I really don't feel like
I-
it makes anyone smarter.
Well, and I feel like you said, what is smart? I feel like we just do too much on. They can do 2 + 2 when they're 2, versus
Which is not
the
developmentally appropriate.
Yeah, just based on the
At all.
child. There's so many different learning styles, and we know that. What was the test that my child's smarter because they were breastfed? Like, I feel like
Nobody asked me.
right, right.
Just saying.
I feel like we focus too much on like the academics of life versus a happy child. Like,
You know,
having a happy child.
and here's one of the biggest breakdowns here with this. I understand we could go on a huge rant right here, but we're going to save this. There's a nature versus nurture debate. There's a line between early childhood and elementary school, privately funded to government funded programs, the whole nine. There's a whole thing. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to do that one. But the biggest thing as a parent, feed your baby, like Blair
Yes.
said, feed your baby,
Yeah.
however you're going to feed your baby. And if you want your child to be smart, quote unquote smart, whatever you feel smart is, that is parenting.
Oh yeah.
That is choices that you make as a parent. My biggest thing, if you want to teach a child anything, teach them to be kind.
kindness.
Teach them to be kind. Everything else will get figured out. I promise. I promise.
I agree. I really agree. And we're all in, early learning. More than anything, like she said, we could really get on the nature versus nurture
Ooh.
thing. And I am really for the happy child,
Absolutely.
free spirited, happy child. And I really think that she said kindness. Other things will fall in place. Let's raise kind children.
What do you think about that, Blair?
Well, I feel like breast milk or formula, it doesn't make your child smarter anyway. Kids are born the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
They learn
Yes.
the way they learn. So it doesn't
Doesn't matter what you
make
got 'em.
a big difference whether you have breastfed them or formula fed them, because they're going to learn how they learn.
Yep.
They're going to be who they are.
One thing that I tell a lot of the ladies here that teach, sometimes there's gentlemen here, but not currently. One of the biggest things that I tell them is don't worry about your kids' first grade grades until they get to first grade. We put so much pressure on ourselves thinking I got to have the smartest kid and the happiest kid and the funniest kid, and he's got to be like me. And no, your kid's going to be your kid. And I'm here to tell you, with grown ones, they're going to be who they're going to be, no matter what you try to stress about. It goes too fast. Don't stress.
Right? Embrace it. That's another one. Embrace the moment.
Yep.
So the going back to work and feeding your babies, breastfed babies going back to work, and I think in general breastfeeding is a chore. It's sometimes there's some days where I feel like it's a full-time job.
She's in the middle of it currently, so this is where she's getting her outlook.
Yeah, I am in the middle of second baby, feeding him breastfed, going back to work. Like I said, there's days where I'm like, whoo, I've been here all day, either pumping or nursing my child. But it is doable sometimes. Miss Blair has twins.
And for my family, it worked best for me to be at home with them. Had the alarm clock set every 3 hours, wake up babies, feed baby 1, feed baby 2, change baby 1, change baby 2, go back to bed. That was life for quite some time. And with the twins, for me, it wasn't feasible to be at work and still be a breastfeeding mother.
Like I said, I had the different adventure with that is I was able to go back to work. My biggest suggestion is stock up early.
Yes.
So I started pumping right from the get-go of being home with the babies and just stockpiling. That way, if there was days that I just didn't produce enough, there was frozen milk there, and they still got their breast milk. You can mix. You can, Blair did fortified formula at times too. So you can mix. There doesn't have to be this one way. Yeah, there doesn't have to be this one path. But make sure you have that support system at work. Let your bosses know ahead of time. Hey, I do plan on breastfeeding.
Make sure you have a cool boss too.
Yeah, I got actually. I am very blessed with that. You know, I get to see my child during the day and have 2 different breaks to meet the needs of my child, and it was a very welcoming experience. I'm not sure if it wasn't as welcoming if I would have kept going with it, to be honest. So have those plans in place, have those conversations, but it is very doable, but also know that there will be those days where you're just like, oh. So
well, and find an early learning center that has a breastfeeding area for you, or if you choose family childcare home, that they have an ability for you to come in and do that and pop in anytime to feed your baby. That's really important.
Yeah, I really agree with that. That there needs to be a welcoming place for you to do it.
Not all jobs have that capability for you to be able to
That's true.
nurse your child or pump while you're at work.
That's true.
That's another reason why formula is perfectly okay to feed your child as long as your child is fed. We totally understand that, life gets in the way. You don't always get to do it exactly how you want to do it. It all depends on the type of job you have.
So, in my experience, 20-something years in early childhood and raising my own, I can tell you that your child's not going to come back when they're 18 years old and tell you that they wrecked the car because you didn't breastfeed them.
Right?
They're going to be okay. They're going to make it through. Their test scores are going to be fine.
Siblings aren't going to compare that you breastfed that one and formula fed that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. If you can do it, I just really, if you can do it, it's great. For many reasons that we've mentioned, it is. It's really good. But so is formula, and if you're we talked about skin to skin, you can do that with a bottle. Mm-hmm. There's tons of things that you can do to bond with your baby. The biggest thing is to not freak out, don't lose your mind, and know that, I promise, it's not going to affect their SATs and whether or not they're going to be accepted to the school you want them in.
They will be okay.
They're going to be okay. So here's a subject that isn't talked about enough within breastfeeding, a subject, I guess. Getting your body back and having your boobs be yours. Having a sex life again. You've just gone through, you've had a baby, you feel like your uterus is the size of Jupiter. You can't get into your jeans yet, although you try them on 3 times a day, every day.
Every day, yep.
Until you can. Your husband's looking at you like, today, anytime again.
Can we cuddle, maybe?
And you're breastfeeding, and you feel like a walking milk dispensary, and less like a wife wanting to be intimate.
Yeah, I struggle with the want to cuddle after having a baby on me feeding. Bless you too.
Well, I was about to say, when I was nursing them, I preferred to do one child at a time because I literally felt like a cow while they were nursing at the same time. It was a horrible feeling.
I bet.
My huge, like she said, your body, your own. I had one nurse up to 2, and then boom, here's the other one coming right in to nurse. So I did struggle with that this time around with nursing a second baby. That my body wasn't mine. My main focus was producing, getting them, and I still at times don't feel like, hey, let's have a moment.
Come over here, sexy.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And you do want to know when your body's going to be your own, when your husband's wanting to know when your body's going to be your own.
Your husband clearly wants to know too.
I was fortunate enough that I got them done at the same time. I can't imagine having to go back to back with nursing. I got it all done in 16 and a half months. That's funny.
There are, like I said, days where I'm too spent. I'm too spent to want to be intimate. And luckily I have a pretty understanding husband that gets it.
Yeah, he's great.
But we have to also keep in mind that, you know, you're still beautiful. And sometimes it's not all going to go back where it was. But you're still beautiful, and you know, some days you don't want to cuddle and you don't want to have the moment, but we suck it up for our kids. Why not suck it up at that moment for our husbands?
I got pretty down on myself for a while. My son's 4, and he still says, "Mom, can I play with your belly?" And he just plays with all that extra skin down there, and he likes it. It kind of grosses me out, but
right there,
I let him.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just
embrace yourself.
Yeah.
That's really
Embrace your body. I think, you know, one of the biggest things looking at, it's so funny watching, it's not really funny, but it's so neat watching how breastfeeding wasn't as popular before. It was more formula and, you know, old chick talk, but it's really neat to see everybody talk about it. And it's really cool for me to think about the husband's point of view too. I'm so far removed from it. I don't even just mean the sexual intimacy. I mean, like, you're taking a lot of time away from him to be with offspring that he helped you produce.
Yep.
And he can help, but at the same time, there really has to be this feeling of,
mamas are
where's my
control freaks.
wife? Can I have my and really wanting that time with you, you know. Dads can be control freaks too, you know, and I see that lots of times. I mean, again, it comes down to, I think we talked about it in one of our other blogs, control comes from eating, sleeping, and pottying.
Yep.
And so eating and a mom being in total control of that is sometimes super frustrating for dad. I mean, it's kind of like when you're first pregnant and you're barely showing and you're having all these feelings and emotions. You can feel babies kicking and everything, and dad's over there like, man, she's getting fat. Like, but not wanting to say that, you know, and so not getting so not want, you know, dads have such a pivotal role to play, and I think in this area as well. But I think it's important to talk about the fact that after you have a baby, and we will do this topic postpartum. Will come in, and that plays in huge with so many things. But your body's not normal. Your hormones aren't normal. Your boobs are not whatever
normal.
they are. And you've got all
And
kinds
they
of
don't
stuff.
go back to normal.
What is normal
They're
anymore?
definitely not the way they used to be.
Right. So, quite honestly, I mean, you have to find some way to make peace with it all. Try to scramble through all this information. If you have a great girlfriend to talk to, that's great. Watch our blog. There's all kinds of fun stuff, information you can get there. But find your tribe once again. Try to move forward.
I agree.
Now we're going to talk about the amount and length of time for breastfeeding.
So I think, there's a lot of society input in on that as well. The rule of thumb is 2 months where they are getting those antibodies, but
2 months?
yeah,
That seems like such a
short
amount of time.
So,
but I mean,
but then there's 6 months. So I really think that's another find what works for your family. With my first one, he was small. In my mind, I had plans. 1, you're cut off. We're done breastfeeding. You're going to milk. But then going to my doctors, his doctors, I was really pressured into continuing it. And then when I was pregnant, I was for sure done with the breastfeeding. I was, like we talked about previously, my body. I wanted to have my body for a month, 2 months. So I really think that's a family thing. You have to figure out what works for your family on that. I really wish I stopped a little earlier, to be honest. So
But
that
they
could have had my
pushed you
bike.
because he was little on
Yeah,
the chart, right?
yeah.
And so they were saying that that was going to be better
It
for
was
him.
going to be better for him. And I'll be honest, I don't think it was any more, like, he had solids just like anybody else. I don't think he's still small. So I don't think there was this huge benefit, and I really wish I sort of listened to myself on it and stopped a little earlier than having that guilt that this is my responsibility. So I truly believe you sort of just have to figure out what works for you and your family. That to me, we focus on that. It's a mom thing and it's their breast, but I think it also has to be a family discussion that, you know, what are our goals with this, and sort of work that out.
My plan was to do about a year with my kiddos, and I don't know, I went a little longer because when I was trying to introduce milk, they just didn't like it. Plus, it was really hard on my body to wean them.
Drop it? Oh, yeah.
Mhm. Like dropping a feeding for them was literally dropping 2 feedings, and it hurt.
It's a pain.
Yeah,
pain.
So I weaned for like a process of 4.5 months, and so just I would drop a feeding, and then one time I tried to drop a feeding and it didn't quite work, so I had to add it back in but reduce the time, and so I would go like 10 minutes on that feeding, then I'd go 5 minutes and then drop it because it was rough, and but I mean I've also had siblings that nursed for 2 years on the dot. I've had siblings that nursed for, a month, and then they went back to work. So that's what fit their family, was to go on formula. So, I mean, the length of time, that all depends on you and what you're comfortable with.
Do you guys see a theme here? That's the theme. I mean, it's you. You are your child's best expert. Don't let anybody else, us even, tell you what you need to be doing for your baby. What you need to do is what's good for you.
Hi, I'm Blair.
I'm Miss Jen.
I'm Miss Michaela.
We just finished a video for our Wisdom and Whine YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh.
Regarding breastfeeding versus formula.